You're listening to the Voices of Recovery podcast. This is a special episode featuring a recovering addict. Hi, I'm Sophie X. I'm the host and producer of the Voices of Recovery podcast. I'm joined here today by Big Mike. Hey, Big Mike.
Hello.
How are you?
Good.
Thank you so much for doing our readings for the Just for Today and for the SPAD for the beginning of February.
Thank you for having me.
And you are actually the inspiration behind this podcast. Um, there's two sides of the podcast. One of it is the daily readings, the Just for Today and the SPAD, and the other one is the Voices of Recovery, the people behind Nassau Area Service. 2 years ago, I found NANA 24/7, and that's how I got clean. And I know countless people who have gotten clean on that platform. And for me, this podcast was a way to get to know the people behind the scenes. And then I found out that you were one of the people that helped to start the 24/7 meeting. And it was funny because I got on the meeting and raised my hand and shared, you know, this meeting is never alone, never again, but it is actually Nassau Area Narcotics Anonymous. And then you're like, how do you know that?
That was how it was initially started.
Yeah.
It was initially started as Nassau Area Narcotics Anonymous 24/7. And then we got some pushback from the area. And then it just so happened that Never Alone, Never Again was the same prefix. It was kind of started by a couple of addicts, myself, Jillian R. Water Bottle Larry was the first guy to actually ever host the meeting, and I think the young kid name was Dan who actually spoke at the first meeting. It was on a Saturday. We had tried all week trying to figure out how to get this thing rolling. There was an international meeting going on, and there was like 400 people in the meeting, and you waited hours to share, and that just wasn't my thing. I said, I'm going to figure this out. I called a friend of mine in Philly, Brian Mack. He kind of introduced me to Zoom, told me that we could do it. The first meeting had probably 6 people, and the rest is history.
This was COVID times, right? This was the
Yes,
quarantine shutdown, world shut down because of COVID. The 24/7 meeting has not ended in 5 years, right? Is that correct? Like it's been going for 5 years, like without pause.
it has been going without pause 24/7, 365 days. There have been times over the last few months where they've shut it down and put on speaker tapes.
Right. But that's far and few between
Correct,
where
correct,
they can't get somebody to host the meeting.
correct,
And so you have a host and a co host,
correct,
and then readers who actually don't need any clean time.
correct. You could have zero clean time to be a reader on that meeting.
And on the 24/7 meeting, there's so many different formats. We have the Just for Today, we have the SPAD, so we do readings on that. Obviously, we have speakers sharing all the time. I've spoken on that meeting a few times. And then we also read the basic text. We read sometimes the Living Clean. I've seen so much literature being shared on that platform. So there's a lot of ways for people to get involved too.
So the biggest thing for us was to keep it as close to an in-person meeting as possible so that people, once it opened back up, that they would have an introduction to what it was like to go to an in-person meeting. And the biggest thing that I've heard is that there are people who have social anxiety who would refuse to go to a meeting because of that social anxiety. And this gave them the avenue to begin to feel comfortable to be able to walk into an in-person meeting.
That's exactly my experience. I started off on the platform, and my former sponsor, it said her name in Long Island, and I said, "Hey, I'm from Long Island." She said, "Where?" I said, "I'm from this area." She's like, "That's exactly where my home group is. Come to my home group. It's on Saturday." And so she reached out from the virtual platform and got me on to the meeting, and I was able to make my first in-person meeting, and I never stopped coming back. Thank God I was able to get into the in-person meetings because I think that really grounded me. It was the hugs, you know what I'm saying? It was the welcome, it was people remembering my name, knowing my name, being able to see that I wasn't okay because sometimes I don't put my camera on.
There's so many stories of people who come in with a fake name, no camera on, and you watch the progression of it. You watch them maybe put their correct name, then for a few weeks, then they put their camera on and you start to see them. It's almost like they move from the back to the front, like they'd start off in the back, nobody get to know them, and then slowly but surely they come in, You watch them warm up. I watched this lady recently. For years, she was using on the meeting. And this morning she came on and I made reference to it. I said, it's nice to see you here not using. Because I remember her in the corner of this room. She was smoking crack on screen. And we would shut off her video
Yeah.
and she would act crazy. And now she's clean for months.
Yeah.
It's just been amazing, you know. The biggest thing, and I never even realized it, like how many people get stuck through social anxiety and are scared to go to meetings for fear of whatever it is.
Or they live in a remote area and they don't have the opportunity.
Yeah, and that's a whole nother thing, right? The loner, the addict who is in a place that they can't get to meetings, or maybe they don't have any meetings in their area. And I mean, we got a ton of those. It's been unbelievable to think that finding the right people to get involved. There was Eddie R. who was big in it. Then Sam came along and she really helped get it off the ground. She was one of the trainers for a long time. She trained hundreds of people how to host and co-host. And then it just kind of like picked up steam. But it's crazy. Like we had created this whole little network for, I mean, we would fight. We would scream at each other. We'd curse at each other. We'd do things that you could only do to brothers and sisters. Like, and we would come back and we'd apologize and we'd talk and we'd work it out. And we had these group chats. And I mean, I just think about all the people. I mean, there's still people that were here from the beginning
Yeah.
that are still come on there,
Yeah.
and, I'm grateful that I still get to do service on there. I'm able to do it, once a week from 7 to 9 on Thursdays. That was the original meeting that kind of kicked everything off with the format. Everything else was kind of like fly by the seat of your pants, but this was always that 7 to 9 a.m. was always the step and the just for today for the day, and we would just go through all 12 steps in 12 days and start back over. That has always been the format. That was the original format of that meeting, and it just kind of just took off. And I still pinch myself to say I can't believe that this is something that we were able to get off the ground. And I mean, we used to spend 16 hours a day, 17 hours a day. It definitely caused a strain on my relationship with my family, my wife, because I wouldn't give up. I didn't want to see nobody not have a place to go to have a meeting because I know how important it is. I mean, even nowadays, I mean, the most important thing is that the meeting is there.
Right.
It
Oh
doesn't need to be
man.
perfect. It doesn't need to be, you don't need to follow it's okay. Everybody thinks that it has to be No, it just needs to be available.
Yeah, it just needs to work when you click the link.
Correct.
This morning's meeting was, I mean, I was in tears. There was a woman on there who was just struggling so hard. And you could see that she's like on the verge, you know what I'm saying, of like either using or hurting herself or somebody else, and she's just on there just sharing. And then after she was done sharing, you encouraged everybody to send her a heart, and the screen just lit up with like thousands. I mean, every single person pressed it probably 5 or 6 times, and there was like maybe almost 200 people in there, you know. So, and
Yeah,
there were
there was
just
184 people this morning.
184 people this morning. That's 184 addicts that you're helping keep clean for just those 2 hours that you're serving, people coming in and out of the meeting. Whenever I go to H&I, hospitals and institutions, whenever I'm at my service commitment, I always show them the 24/7 meeting. I'm like, look, click. And they're like, what? I'm like, this meeting has not ended for 5 years. Do you understand that this meeting is always on? And that consistency is something that helps keep us clean. Knowing that on Friday night at 7 o'clock at 16 Fenworth, the surrender group is going to be open every single Friday. The Hopeful in Hicksville meeting every day, rain or shine, snow from 1 to 2:15 p.m. This local area this is the reason why I created this podcast, is because there's so many people who have helped me stay clean over the last 2 years. I just want the world to know that you guys exist. I'm very thankful personally. This area is helping people all over the world. So, all right, enough fucking crying.
It,
We're
it's
both
funny you
crying.
mention about the heart and the original the original thing was a smile became a virtual hug.
Mm-hmm.
That was like the original of it, and we'd have everybody smile on the screen. Then they came out with these emojis, which weren't always there
The
like how they are
reactions.
now, the
Yeah, the
reactions
reactions.
or whatever those things are. But the original thing was a smile as a virtual hug, and
Mm,
we would do that to people, and it would just took off. And we listen. There's nobody that can tell me that you can't feel it through the screen.
Oh yeah, you can feel it.
And you know what? I tell people now that it's to be used as a tool because that's what it is. It's a tool. The 24/7 group is a tool to help you when you can't get to a meeting. I'm not
Mm-hmm.
talking about you don't want to get off your couch. I'm talking about you can't get to a meeting. You're stuck at work. You want to put it in your ear.
You're sick.
You're sick. You can't get, you can't go anywhere.
I was in the hospital listening to the meeting.
Yeah.
You know, I was in a wheelchair listening to that meeting. I was on an island in Greece where they didn't have handicap accessible meetings, and I would have my camera off the whole time and turn my camera on to show people that I'm in a wheelchair and I'm still clean.
From the moment that it started to probably up until about the summer when the surrender group reopened, I hadn't had an in-person home group.
Mm,
And I walked into the surrender group and it reminded me of the first time I ever walked into that surrender group. And it was just this amazing atmosphere, the welcoming, the energy. And I said, I'm home again. I mean, I've only had three home groups over my clean time. Four. Four. And it's a special place, that Friday night group. But my point is that people need to understand that the 24/7 is a tool. There's nothing that can replace that in-person feeling of that hug or that, because I'll be honest with you, it, I believe that one of the, just for today's that I read, talked about a simple loving hug can make all the difference in the world
true.
to an addict that's suffering. That is the truth. I'm sponsoring a guy now. I'm the greeter at the home group. And he came downstairs and he had 6 days clean. And he walked in and he had a company that I used to work for. And we started talking and he's got 70 days clean
That's
today.
amazing.
Every day, people don't realize this, that he's actually helping me more than I could ever help him. And he says, well, what do you mean by that? Well, you're giving me purpose. This is my purpose. Listen, I tell people all the time, my purpose is to stay clean and help others. That's it. I don't have any other purpose. I don't have a purpose of coming to work. That's not my purpose. My purpose is to stay clean and do whatever I can do to help others, not just addicts, help others. And when I do that, everything else falls into place. I found a beautiful wife. I have beautiful kids. I have a great life. I'm able to come to work as a result of all of that. I have a great job. I mean, everything that I have is a result of my primary purpose, which is to help others. I've built tremendous relationships that I've been able to network. I have a son and a daughter who are graduating college as a result of Narcotics Anonymous and fulfilling my primary purpose. Like, a lot of people don't look at it like that. If it wasn't for me doing those things, see, because everybody thinks you do, you get back. No, you do, it comes back, and it never comes back in its same form. Like if I give you $5, I'm not getting $5 back. I'm getting something, and it's spiritual for me. That's the stuff that I've got. Like, I have a son who plays lacrosse at Penn State. I was a guy who, because I couldn't stop using, I lost an opportunity to win a national championship. And when I got clean, I vowed that I would help kids learn how to play lacrosse and help them better their lives. And as a result of that, my son's life is better because of that. I have several kids that have played at some of the top colleges in the country as a result of my me fulfilling my primary purpose, which is to help others. Through helping others is everything. Anything that I walk into the world with is about helping others. You walk into a store, you hold the door. It's no longer about, well, you didn't say thank you. It's about that I'm holding the door because it's going to make the world a better place.
Right.
And it's that simple for me. I mean, life is really that simple for me. When I fulfill our primary purpose, my life is better.
Yeah.
That's it. It's really simple.
Yep.
I mean, that's why I do service. That's why I'm involved. That's why I do the things I do. I mean, it's just my life is better because of my primary purpose, our primary purpose.
So tell me a little bit about who Big Mike is. Let me give you a little bit of a visual image. Mike is definitely over 6 foot tall, right? Big dude, like teddy bear big, right? Like you want to hug him, like, and I don't know if I've ever like looked at you and been like, that guy is mean. Like you're not intimidating. You're like,
So I am 6'4", over 300 pounds. I forget that sometimes. And I forget how sometimes intimidating that can be. But at the same time, it could be protective, and make people feel super comfortable.
I feel safe around you, right? Like if I'm like hanging out with you, I know nobody's gonna mess with me if I'm like sitting next
Well,
to Big
that's
Mike.
true. There is another side.
Yeah,
There is another side that can go off at the click of a switch,
we're addicts.
you
Of course,
know.
there's another
And
side to the coin.
but I will tell you that a lot has changed over the years in terms of business meetings and my behavior in business meetings. And what's good for the group is good for Mike, not thinking that Mike knows what's best for the group. It's pretty wild because our surrender group had a really intense business meeting a couple weeks ago, and I never thought that I would walk out of the meeting and someone would go to me, "Wow, you're really calm in there," because that was never the case. Like, listen, I know the literature, I know steps, I know traditions, I'm very well versed in it all, and there was something in me that just says, "Mike, it's okay."
Yeah.
And that wasn't always the case because the ego was a huge part of a lot of my recovery. Where I was, with the service that I did, where I was going, none of that stuff matters. I mean, listen, don't get me wrong, I enjoy sharing at meetings and being a part, but I'll be honest with you, my greatest commitment is the greeter. I
Mm.
love being able to welcome people into my home group and make them feel welcome. I've gone as far now as to have them sit down and go get them coffee. Last week I had a guy who I went to high school with who's been trying to get clean for years, and he was at the meeting, and I went and got him a couple pretzels, and just tell him just sit down, relax, and enjoy the meeting, and I'll take care of everything else. And
You're the maitre d' of
but
that meeting.
I mean, but that's the way it should be.
Yeah,
That's
of
the way
course.
that's the way it was. Listen, all this stuff about sit down, shut the f up, and I've never heard that in all my life. Yes, I've heard people be rigid, and I've heard people be stern, but it was all out of love.
Yeah.
Like there was never a time in my recovery where someone addressed me in a way like I knew it was coming from a place of like they love me and they care about me.
Mm.
And that's what Narcotics Anonymous is for me. This has become so politically correct that we forgot about being spiritually correct.
Mm.
And being spiritually correct sometimes is telling somebody, you're about to kill yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Like, would you let somebody walk in front of a train if it was coming? And we're able to see that on the outside, right? And that's what I will not let happen. I had a kid yesterday. He's been in and out a couple times now. He called me the other day. He's got 3 days clean today. And he called me when he had 1 day clean, told me he wanted to use. I said, when are you going to grow up? I said, you're 30 something years old. I said, you got 3 kids. I said, when are you going to grow up? I said, it's very simple. Take yourself to a meeting, pick someone up on the way, help them get there, and go to the meeting. Well, he did all that and he stayed clean. He got clean all day. He had day 2. He called me yesterday. I let him have it again. I said, you got to be kidding. Because I thought that he went out and used that night, but he
Mm.
didn't. And I says, what? Don't waste my time. He's like, what do you mean? I says, well, after we spoke the other day, you went. He said, no, I didn't. No, I didn't. No, I didn't. I said, I'm so sorry. I says, I thought you went out and used. Misunderstood. He said, no, I didn't. He said, you changed my perspective when you talked to me like that because it sounded like you weren't angry at me. You just were so passionate about it. I said, yeah, I am because you have 3 kids, bro. You got to grow up or die. I mean, it
Right.
says that. It's the truth. It's just been fun to be back in it, being visible member again. Because for a while it was a lot of on screen, like life was busy. I had kids in college. I'm coaching. I'm doing a lot of that stuff, and I never forget about NA. Never. It's given me everything. But it was easy to just go click on the meeting and be like, all right, I'm in a meeting. And but there's nothing like walking into that surrender group on Friday
I
nights.
love that group. I
It's
was honored to speak there on my birthday, actually. I had 1 year and 11 months clean that day. And what a way to spend a Friday night. Every time I go into that meeting, I'm like, God, there's nowhere I'd rather be on a Friday night than
yeah.
that meeting.
The group is really good. The energy is really good. The people there are really good. You got a guy that brings pretzels every week, and we try and make it
The
really
key tags.
the
Your
key
key
tags. We got a
tags.
good key
Oh
tag guy.
man, he takes it seriously,
Now
man.
we got a girl at the front door and me at the back door, so nobody can get in without getting a hug. it reminds me of when I first got clean. I hate saying that because it's changed slightly, but and I'll be honest with you, the fact that there's less meetings now, because a lot of meetings closed after COVID went away, is tremendous because it bringing people back together where you could see the same people,
Right, over over and
over and
over.
over again. Where
Get to know them.
before, yeah, before there'd be 7 or 8 choices to go to. Now I think there's like 3 or 4.
Yeah, in our local
So
area.
the guy that I sponsor, he takes the bus to the meet. I mean, it's just unbelievable the stuff that is happening, and I'm just glad to be a part of it. Listen, this thing has been really good to me, and the one thing that I know is when something's really good to you, you should be really good to it. And that's kind of like where I'm at. And I haven't looked forward to going to a meet. When the meeting's over and Saturday comes, I'm like, oh my God, 6 more days till we go back to the meeting. And I'm already thinking about tomorrow night. It's a gentleman's anniversary
Oh,
tomorrow
I
night,
can't wait for that
and I was at
anniversary.
his first meeting when he came home. He came to my 14-year anniversary. He became my friend. I think he came out when he had 9 years or
Yeah,
something,
he had
whatever it
nine
was.
years.
There was some offset.
The listeners of this podcast will remember Mikey Cat very fondly.
Yes,
He was on our incarceration and recovery series, and he did such a phenomenal job sharing the message. He's such a powerhouse in our local area. I mean, if you're talking about a guy who was institutionalized for decades,
yeah.
right? Nearly
I
three
mean, 29
decades.
years.
And he is actually currently our panel coordinator for the local jail here. He walks into the jail and walks out of the jail. You know what I'm saying? And he is the person that's coordinating other people going into the jail, which is, if you're talking about what the gifts of recovery, right? A man who was a ward of the state,
Yeah.
now being the local jail coordinator, what a miracle.
But the biggest thing that I think about is you never see him pull up to a meeting by himself.
Never.
Always has 2 or 3 people in his car.
Yep.
And if you're listening and you're new, like find someone and help someone. Like that is the greatest thing that I did when I was new. I had a car. Some people didn't. But I would drive a half hour there to pick them up and drive a half hour back to take them to the meeting and drive a half hour back. And that's the stuff that kept me clean. I would be out of my house. I would be out of myself. I used to have a sponsor that used to tell me, you want to get outside of yourself, go help someone else. And that's exactly what I did. And I had a car, and I always had someone new in my car.
Mm.
I always had a newcomer in my car. There was always someone new in the front seat for years, probably the first 14 years, and it's just been a good ride, man. It's been really good. I love the position that I'm in right now in terms of just feeling good. I got a beautiful wife who, things haven't always been easy, I mean, I'm a go get 'em, and I'm make things happen kind of guy. I was a part of putting on the first convention in Nassau area. I was a part of that. I actually made the motion to start that thing, and a couple of us started that. So I've been a part of a lot of great things, and that's not an ego. That's just the truth. I mean, it's super special to be a part of the first ofs. There was a guy, John S., who was a big part of it. Nobody knows this, but I was the only guy that didn't have any liabilities. Like, I didn't have a house. So I actually signed the first contract for the hotel because I had nothing to lose. And I signed that. I'll never forget. They all looked at each other. They said, who's going to sign? They looked at each other. I said, I'll sign. I got nothing to lose. And now it's what, 23 or 24 years the convention's been going
That's
on.
insane.
So, I mean, I've just been a part of a lot of great things. Listen, I love Narcotics Anonymous. It's been so good to me. I mean, I look at my kids, I look at my wife, and I'll be honest, and I share this and I say this in the most humblest form. My wife is amazing. She's clean a long time too, and it's difficult being married to another recovering addict. We have been through so much. When everybody's looking to get away from people and, divorce and all of that stuff. And I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm not, but we've always stuck through the things together, and listen, I've made poor choices in my years, and she's always stuck by me, and she comes to the meeting on Friday nights now. She showed up last night to a party that I was at. I don't know that I could have done this without her. And I don't know that she always feels that. You got to be really special to be married to me for 20 plus years. I mean, I get it. I am not easy. I'm going a million miles an hour from the time I wake up to the time I go to sleep. And I believe that that's the only way that things get done. You ask me a question, you want to do something? Okay, we're going to do it right now.
Yeah, me too,
And my
bro. This is
wife,
why I mess with you.
my my wife is different. I met my wife at a convention in Kansas. My
No
wife is from
way.
Kansas,
No
and
way.
she moved here. We dated long distance for 2 years. She moved here. We lived in my mom's house together for a little while. And then when we moved out, she got pregnant immediately. Then we found out we were having twins.
Oh, wow.
And at that point, I was still super irresponsible. Listen, I'm still not responsible with money. I'm still mismanagement of money.
We're
I still
addicts. We're
I
addicts. It's part
still
of the
cannot
it's
continually make good decisions. That
it's
is a
part of the
fact. I'm telling you
instructions
that
manual.
if you're new and you can't make good decisions, hopefully it changes for you, but it's still, I mean, I make better decisions now. But yeah, we moved out. She got pregnant. We found out we were having twins. I'll never forget the day when we went to the doctor's office and they told me that we were having twins. I fell off the chair and I just went, "Oh my God." From that point forward, they knew me as the "Oh my God" guy at the doctor's. They didn't know my name. They just said, "Oh, there's the Oh my God guy again." And we had twins, and I had a boy and a girl, and then a boy. I got married in Hawaii at the Narcotics Anonymous World Convention on a beach in Wamanila Bay. There were 45 people there.
So you literally got married.
Yeah,
You married Narcotics Anonymous, essentially.
yeah, and we did it kind of backwards. We had the kids, then we got married, typical stuff, and then we got the house. Definitely wasn't in the correct order. It definitely was backwards. It was definitely not done correctly. But you want to know something? Wouldn't change it for the world. I wouldn't change the woman that I married for the world. As much as she drives me crazy, and we drive each other crazy, it's been the ride of my life, and I wouldn't have done it with anybody else.
How did you get to Narcotics Anonymous? Because outside of the 28 years that you have clean, you have a past in using. When did the disease start taking hold of you and what brought you to NA?
I got a bit of a late start, but it went fast. I probably started smoking pot 16, 17, and within a matter of months, it went to cocaine, acid, LSD, all of that stuff, mushrooms.
Check, 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 check.
Yeah, check it all. And then I found the ultimate, the opiates. I'll never forget the first day. They didn't call it heroin. They called it P-Funk. And I'll never forget they came to my house with a bag of it. I'll never forget the first time when I used it and I stood up and my legs felt like jello. And that was it. And the rest is history. I struggled for a few years using, I mean, it was a complete disaster. I got clean in 95 for a little while. And I cleaned up my act a little bit. I was able to get a scholarship to go play lacrosse in college. I straightened things out for a little while. I'll never forget. It was September. I had to go get a tooth pulled, and they gave me a bottle of Tylenol with codeine. The bottle was gone by the end of the day, and I had gone back to find the guys from a neighborhood that were using. And I'll never forget, I was waking up at 3 o'clock in the morning to go pick him up because he worked at a bar, and we would drive into Bushwick to cop. And I would go home to my girlfriend's house and go to sleep and start using, and that was just the cycle. And then the end of the road was simple. I was just sick and tired of being sick and tired. I had gone on a trip. I was playing lacrosse and I couldn't stop using. And I actually bought some methadone to take on the trip. I think I had 100 milligrams of methadone. And I was going to be away for 5 days. And I said, this is the time I'm going to get clean. The bottle of methadone was gone by the time I got to North Carolina. I was getting drunk every single night. And I thought it would be a good idea to sniff Tylenol Excedrin or Excedrin migraine. I was sniffing because I couldn't find anything there. So I was thinking that I was going to get off like that. I was sick. I had saved $20 when I came back off the plane. I drove in one last time. I got 2 bags of junk. I nodded out the wheel and I woke up and it was snowing. And then I found myself in Burns Park in Massapequa, passed out. I woke up. I came home and I got taken to a meeting that night from a guy who I had met in 1995, George the Painter, who is no longer here, God rest his soul, but he saved my life.
Was that the first ever time you heard about Narcotics
Yes.
Anonymous? So somebody took you to a meeting.
No, I found it. I don't remember how I found it. I just remember, I remember that I had gone to some treatment facility and the lady was talking to me and I asked her if she was an addict. Does she know what this is like?
Hmm.
And she told me, I can't reveal that to you. Then I said, then I can't talk to you. And I got up and I walked out. And somehow I found Narcotics Anonymous. I don't remember how, but I ended up at the Floral Park meeting. And I walked in there and I met this guy, George the painter, he shared. And I got his number. And then I asked him to sponsor me. And I stayed clean for about 90 days, but I was doing everything that I shouldn't be doing. I still worked in a beer distributor. I still was talking to the old friends and places. Bottom line is, after 90 days, I got on a plane to go to Colorado to play lacrosse, and I started drinking from the moment I got on the plane till the moment I got there. And I just went on a run for 2 years, but I kept George's number. And when I was sick and tired of being sick and tired, I will never forget, I called George and I told him that I needed help. And he came and took me to detox. I'll never forget walking through those doors. And he begged the guy to take me. I'll never forget this. There was a guy there who was done with his medication. And George said, I'll drive that guy home if you can get this kid in. And I ended up getting in. And I remember walking through those doors. And I remember feeling the weight of everything just lifting. It was the most amazing feeling ever. And then H&I came in. And there was this guy, and his name was Larry. He reminded me of the guy from Fat Albert. I didn't understand a word he said. It was like, no, I'm not kidding. He would come in with speakers. At that time, he used to stay for 21 days. And I was in there for 21 days. And then I got picked up and I got taken to treatment. And I stayed in treatment for a couple of days and I left out of there because I knew Narcotics Anonymous would work for me. And they told me when I was leaving, they said, you're not going to stay clean, kid. I'll never forget that. I never rode mass transit. I took the bus to the ferry, to Manhattan, to the subway, to home, and George picked me up. And he let me stay in his house for 2 days because my mother wouldn't take me home. It changed my life. He took an interest in me, a special interest. He would take me to meetings, and I started to get connected with people. My first meeting was Valley Stream on a Monday night because we tried to go to a meeting on Sunday, but we couldn't find it. On Monday, we went to Valley Stream, and somehow I ended up at the Surrender Group on Friday night. A little young lady, she gave me a hug. She pulled me down. I'll never forget this. She was like probably like 4'11". I'm 6'4". She reaches up and pulls me
Aw.
down to her ear. She pulled my ear to her mouth, and she told me it was going to be all right. And it's never not been. It's never not been, you know. I mean, there's been a lot of ups and downs, but I'm grateful for my sponsor who's listen, I have the same sponsor for 26 years, 27 years.
Wow.
I don't use him probably like I should. He loves me. He's old now. That man took me everywhere. He took me all over, introduced me to so many people. I got to meet people that, in my opinion, are really the goats of NA, like the Dutches and the Khaleeses and the Tony Daddios and Thomas Pease and like all those guys who like Kenny Ali and Jimmy T and like all those guys are like my friends, like these guys that I would listen to, the Kathy H from Pittsburgh. I would listen to their tapes when I was new and be like, I want to be like them. And I got to be friends with them, and they're just like me. There's no different. They're
Mm.
just addicts. They're crazy too. And it's just amazing. It's funny how we put people on pedestals, and how we look at people with clean time and think that they're different, and when they act a certain way, we're like, oh, I can't believe that guy acts that way. And then you get the time, and you're like, I get it,
Yeah. We're
and
just
that was me.
addicts. We're
That
just
was me,
addicts.
and I don't know. It's been really good to me. I'm so grateful to be a part of this. I'm so grateful to have found this. I mean, I walk into a room and I can blend in with anybody. I was the president of the Parents Association at Penn State. Like nobody knows. They just know I don't drink, but that I am the most fun. I'm good-hearted. I'll do anything for anybody, and it opens up doors that normally would be closed. There was a lady, a parent, who was struggling with drinking, and she opened up to me, and I was able to help her. And all it is I take Narcotics Anonymous outside today.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Practice these principles in all our affairs.
correct. And it's there's a glow that comes with that.
Mm-hmm.
There's a light that shines bright when you're able to practice it in all your affairs. And listen, I struggled for years. It took a long time for the message to catch up to this messenger.
Mm-hmm.
I was able to share it long before I could walk it. I was able to do a lot of things before I was able to do them, but I guess you need to kind of learn how to talk it before you can walk it, and I believe that everybody needs, to be able to do that. And listen, I know the literature, I know all of that stuff, and at some point it just all came together. And I'll be honest, it's probably only over the last 4 or 5 years that I really feel great about where I'm at. I'm confident in who I am. Um,
That coincides with the starting of the virtual meeting.
yeah,
And that service that you do is just incredibly invaluable. Like I said, I got clean on that platform, and you've changed a lot of people's lives.
yeah, I think the number they had a couple of years ago was 3.5 million people had come through there at different IP addresses
Wow.
because they can see that stuff on the back end.
Right.
And they're not under surveillance, none of that stuff, but they just you could see the numbers.
Yeah, the
I mean,
unique
it's
the
it's
unique count.
correct. I would imagine it's probably upwards of 4 million now, close to 5 or 6. Um, and it's amazing that we used to shut off the meeting because you have to reset the meeting at 8 o'clock in the morning, and that's when we come back with the welcome back song,
Welcome back.
which is something that one day we just did it.
It's the best. I love it. I love the welcome back meeting. That's my favorite.
Uh, uh,
Everybody like gets on the
It,
camera and like dances and sings.
it started as a fluke, like,
Uh-huh.
and then we used to do key tags. We used to do key tags. This guy, Emmett from New Jersey, would come on and he had these big key tags. And he used to send them to people when they celebrate. I still have my key tag from him. And he had every key tag. And he would come on and we'd do key
I
tags.
love it.
And we'd put on the Cool and the Gang song,
Celebrate
Celebrate Good.
good times,
And we would
come
go through all
on.
the key tags. And then at the end, we would kind of give like a moment for someone who has their camera off
Uh-huh.
that was scared. Now they feel comfortable and we had people come out of the dark and into the light.
Oh man.
And we would have them introduce themselves for the first time
Aw.
ever. And some of those people are still clean now.
Yeah.
It's just been so. Who would ever thought? I mean, we used to shut down the meeting and there'd be 30 people that come back on. This morning we shut down the meeting. There was 132 people
I
back on there
know.
in in
Immediately.
in in like 13 minutes. I mean, there was 204 people before we shut off the meeting this morning.
It's
I was
insane.
watching the number go up and down. I'm like, this is unbelievable.
Yeah.
I mean, what it's only growing. And I'll be honest with you, over the last month, because we've been asking for people to get involved. More people have been getting involved with service. The problem is that there's a bit of a process to train the people, you know. And I think that they got. I mean, they haven't had to shut down, put on a speaker tape in a couple of weeks, so it's good, And there's been other people that have tried. The Netherlands had a 24/7 meeting. They tried. It didn't last.
It's hard.
It's not easy.
It's hard. It's
I
very
think
hard.
the international meeting is still going.
Yeah, it is.
I'm not
It
sure.
is.
Those guys were my friends that started that, and they actually helped us. We worked together hand in hand, to try and get the other meeting going. And it's amazing that we're both. They started, I think, 5 days before us. Yeah, 5 days before us, because we would go on there. You couldn't share. I'm like, we got to do something here,
Yeah, yeah.
and that's how it went.
Well, you should be very proud of your service. I'm proud to know you, and I love having this podcast because I get to meet people and like watch them and listen to them share their most intimate parts of their lives. And it is very humbling to know you. It's very humbling to know you. I appreciate you. I appreciate your service. The area appreciates your service. The world appreciates your service,
You
Mike.
know, it's funny because, my sponsor is clean 53 years. He got clean the year I was born.
Wow.
And it's interesting because I used to talk to him and pick his brain and, Jack, what do you know? And the fact of the matter is, I was just doing what I need to do to stay clean.
Mm-hmm.
I had no vision of anything else other than we needed to do something in the moment to make sure that selfishly that I had a place where I could stay clean. And with that, it was birth. It was birthed, if that's even a word. I don't even know. But it was just I just do what I do that I was taught what to do to stay clean. And it's worked out. Like, listen, I said I make poor choices still. I do stupid things. I still make a right on red where I'm not supposed to sometimes. I drive through red lights sometimes when I don't feel like waiting. I mean, I'm being honest. I mean, let's be honest. I mean,
Bro, same. I did that yesterday. I gotta
most
stop doing that shit. I
most
gotta talk to my
people
sponsor about
most
it.
people listen, here's the one thing that I know. Anyone that sounds too perfect, stay away from.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Because they're full of baloney. We
Yep.
all do these things. We all have these little skeletons, these little secret things, these little things that we do. Nobody's perfect, and that's the one thing you find out with staying clean.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll tell you right now, I try and do whatever I can do to help anyone.
Yeah.
And that's the greatest gift that I've been given is the ability to help others. And I know that's my superpower. That's my superpower, the ability to help others in all facets. Boy, this was more emotional than I thought it would be. I was just hoping just to come on here and just kind of say a few words and kind of just leave it at that. But it's just never. I wear it on my sleeve. I mean, I love Narcotics Anonymous. I love what it's done to me. It's given me a beautiful family. Um, I was voted most likely not to succeed in treatment. They
Wow.
told me I would never stay clean.
Wow.
Yeah, they told me I would never stay clean.
And yet, not only have you stayed clean, but you've helped hundreds of thousands of people.
I've been a part of a lot of great things with a lot of great people. There's nothing, listen, you don't do anything here by yourself. And I'm very well aware of that. I mean, the people that got involved, like we got involved, like we dug in, like we made it happen, like we did whatever we needed to do to make sure this thing stayed alive. And they're still doing it.
Yeah.
Denise is still doing it.
Yep.
Denise C is a legend.
Mm-hmm.
She is not one of the most easiest person to get along with, like myself, but she is legendary. What she did to do the scheduling and keep everything going and reaching out. I mean, what they do, right? It's unbelievable. I mean, Fern is still involved. These are people that have been involved since the beginning of it.
Decades of clean time.
Yeah.
Decades.
Yeah. I mean, do you think that's why? I mean, I don't know. I mean, do you think that's why? I mean, there's no coincidence.
Zero.
We're staying clean.
Yeah.
Yep. If you want what we have to offer and are willing to do what we did, then you'll get it too.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like it. I don't know. I'm grateful. I appreciate you asking me to be a part of this. I was kind of nervous and anxious about it. Yeah, I mean, it's what we do, right? It's what we do for our own recovery, that in turn you hope it helps others.
Absolutely. Thank you for your service. Thank you for sharing your recovery, and thank you for sharing your voice and for everything that you do. Thank you for helping to get me clean and to keep me clean. I appreciate you, Mike.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you for the kind words.
Absolutely. The Voices of Recovery podcast is an independent production of the Works of Wisdom. We welcome your questions and donations via PayPal at voicesofrecoverypod@gmail.com. This podcast is an independent production and is not affiliated with, associated with, authorized by, endorsed by, or in any way officially connected with Narcotics Anonymous or any of its subsidiaries or affiliates. While NA literature may be read during episodes for the purpose of supporting recovery, such use does not constitute an official endorsement or representation by Narcotics Anonymous. In accordance with NA tradition, the NA name is not to be used to endorse or be affiliated with any outside enterprise, and no such endorsement or affiliation is implied. Music is by Sage. Thanks for listening to the Voices of Recovery podcast.